Hi, Helen.
Hi.
Hi, Alina.
Hi.
It's great to see you again. And we're very happy to have you on board in the manifestation coming in that we're organizing together with TAC, and you'll be part of it, and well, you'll be collaborating and organizing something special. And we're going to talk a little bit about that to give people a little bit of an idea of what's coming and what they can expect. So maybe let's start with Alina. Maybe you can start a little bit about introducing yourself, and also maybe immediately to tell a little bit about how you found Helen and how you got to collaborate and meet.
Okay, I'm gonna do my best. So my name is Alina Lupu, and I'm a post-conceptual artist and writer. Um, I work a lot with performance. I also work with photography and video, and well, I'm very interested in precarious living and working conditions, mainly for artists, but not just that. Um, the beginning of my practice as an artist, so the moment I graduated from an art academy in Amsterdam from the Rietveld, um, the first step that I took was also towards precarity, so to speak. So I took a job as a food delivery courier for one of the four companies at the time that operated in Amsterdam. And I also took that job as inspiration for my practice as an artist, because I realized at a certain point that side jobs are basically not just something we do in order to support ourselves while we try to gain more energy to make art, but actually side jobs are something which are a starting point for discussion within the art field as well. This was, I mean, I graduated in 2016, and since then, my practice went in all directions, but still with a focus on precarity. And then at a certain point, well, Corona hit. And during Corona, ironically, that was the moment when I just became an artist. So I was no longer a person with many side jobs, because along with food delivery courier, I was also a cleaner, and I was also an assistant, a barista, etc. But during Corona, I just focused on my artistic practice. So that was a bit, and I had more free time at my disposal. And at a certain point, I think through social media, actually, I stumbled across Helen's initiative, and she was looking for people to also deliver food, which was something that I was already doing, but in another form. No, actually, to pick up food. Sorry for that. To pick up food, and she was looking for people to pick up food for her initiative with a buck feet. So, and this was also a skill that I didn't have at the time, but that I picked up in the meantime. And I decided to help out, and this was something that I did like once a week. So still left plenty of time on the side, but it's something that became a recurring thing in my schedule. And yeah, and since I'm used to trying to think about initiatives and about institutions from multiple angles, I think at a certain point I started thinking about Helen's initiative not just from a standpoint of supporting people in the neighborhood where she operates, but also as an artistic practice. Actually, it's something that inspired me as an artist as well.
It's really interesting. Let's first, before jumping further into that, you already made a bridge to Helen's initiative and what's going on there. So maybe Helen, you can share a bit about what your initiative which is called the Helen's Free Food Market, what that's all about, and what it aims at doing in Amsterdam North.
Yes. Well, I started in 2019, in the summer of 2019, mainly because I was struck by the whole food waste problem that we have altogether. And that was already something that had my interest for a longer period of time. And I was also visiting other food initiatives And then there was a summer where I had a little bit more time off. So I thought, okay, I'll just do a little summer project for 2 months. I'm going to pick up some food that would otherwise be wasted, food from local stores. And I will hand it out to the neighborhood. And then end of August, I'm going to find a real job. That was my idea. But then, yeah, it was such a big success, actually. Like a lot of people from the neighborhood really loved it. And we had a lot more people coming to the market than we thought, than we expected. And also there was some local media that wrote about us. So then I was thinking about continuing it. Somebody from the municipality actually asked me if why I was going to stop, because they also saw that we were filling a gap and we were reaching people that otherwise weren't reached by the municipality. So where I started to prevent food waste, we also discovered soon enough that we were helping people that had low income or otherwise very small budget, and they were really happy with the food. And those people were also people that didn't go to the regular food banks. So in in collaboration with the municipality, I decided to continue the initiative. And well, then Corona came and it kind of exploded. So that was March 2020, and so many people got stuck at home, and also many people didn't have income anymore. So there was a big explosion of of more clients in our client list. I'm sorry for my rusty English, by the way. I don't speak English a lot these days.
We don't hesitate if you want to switch to Dutch, in between.
Yeah, maybe I'll throw some Dutch words in here and there.
Please do.
But yeah, that's a bit of the history. But to tell more about the ideals about the free food market, we still focus on food waste, but the beauty of it is that we actually bring together two problems, and those two problems solve and like make a beautiful solution together. Like there's a problem of food waste, and there's a problem of people with low income, debts, and small budgets, and actually not enough food in their fridge. And to bring these two together actually was a very simple way of solving a problem. And also I did some voluntary work at the food bank before, and I noticed that there was kind of a negative feeling among a lot of the clients. So what I wanted to do differently is approach it in a way that people are coming to rescue food and not held up their hand and be dependent on a facility. So we try to still communicate that to our clients and to the outside world, that we are a community of people that rescue food together, and we consist of volunteers and clients, and some people are client and volunteer, and it's really a big variety of people, like young, old, all different kind of backgrounds, and they all come together to rescue food, and with that also help themselves, but also participate in solving on a local level a bigger issue of food waste.
Great.
So,
that you've explained it very well in English, not rusty at all.
Yay.
But again, please, if you not manage to find the words, dat kan ook in het Nederlands, want veel mensen die dit kijken spreken vast Nederlands. En Alina verstaat ook goed Nederlands, geloof ik.
Oké.
Kan je misschien kort iets vertellen over, or in English if you want, doesn't matter, over hoe dat werkt? Want het is best wel een organisatie geworden, weet je wel, met veel mensen die er aan meewerken. Je hebt veel vrijwilligers, volunteers en clients, as you call them. People that make use of the service that you're providing. Hoe werkt zo'n organisatie? Heb je dat, weet je? Heb je dat
Ja.
op moeten tuigen? Heb je er grote dingen op vellen papier moeten zetten om het uit te tekenen? Of is het gewoon organisch gegroeid?
Nou, het is wel echt organisch gegroeid. Wel met groeipijnen, zou ik zeggen. Zeker toen de coronacrisis uitbrak. Dat we ineens heel snel moesten schakelen en op moesten schalen. We begonnen in 2019, begon ik samen met een buurvrouw. Dus gewoon met z'n tweeën met een tafeltje met eten en dat was het. En tegenwoordig hebben we een organisatie van 40 vrijwilligers. We organiseren het elke dinsdag bij de Verbroederij in Amsterdam-Noord. En eigenlijk zijn we dan met een team van... Nou ja, we hebben een pool van 40 vrijwilligers. Maar op de dag zelf zijn we met een team van ongeveer 20 vrijwilligers... van 's ochtends vroeg tot 's avonds laat bezig in verschillende shifts. Dus het begint met eten ophalen, met de bakfiets, wat Alina ook regelmatig doet. En ook eten ophalen met een busje van de groothandels. Dan gaan we het eten sorteren en wegen. We houden alles bij wat we redden, zodat we aan het eind van de dag en het eind van het jaar ook de cijfers kunnen laten zien van de hoeveelheid eten die we gered hebben.
Okay.
En afgelopen jaar hebben we meer dan 20.000 kilo eten gered. Dus dat is wel heel cool om te zien. En zo kunnen we ook uitrekenen wat dat betekent qua CO2-besparing. En hoe we daarmee iets kunnen bijdragen aan het klimaat. En vanaf 3 uur is de markt elke week. En dan komen de klanten, eigenlijk sinds corona werken we met tijdvakken. Dan komen de klanten in tijdvakken van een half uur, komen ze eten halen. En wat wij heel belangrijk vinden is dat ze krijgen bij ons niet een kant-en-klaar voedselpakket. Want dan zitten er misschien dingen in die je helemaal niet lust, of die je niet mag, of die je niet wil, om welke reden dan ook. Dus wij werken echt als een soort markt, waarbij de mensen zelf kunnen aanwijzen welke producten ze willen. En dat krijgen ze in een kratje en dat kunnen ze zelf ompakken naar hun eigen tassen. Wat ook bijdraagt aan meer de waardering en het respect voor de mensen. We proberen mensen echt in hun waarde te laten. Ze komen gewoon bij ons winkelen, alleen dan zonder dat er een kassa aan het eind staat eigenlijk.
Mooi. Doe een beetje denken aan Fokum Okum, waar ik lid van ben bij de Food Co-op, die ook een soort van shifts doen en samen het werk verdelen. En ik zie dat best wel als een soort, als commoning structuren, weet je, samen een soort sociaal systeempje in deze gevallen opbouwen en het voedsel verdelen en soort dat delen en samen zorgen en de arbeid delen, dat het marktdynamieken en zo een beetje vervangt, als het ware. Dus dat je niet alleen maar aan het prijs op aan het plakken bent en zeggen van oké, zoveel kost het en dat kan je er bij me kopen, maar dat er andere dynamieken zijn die dat vervangen. En ik weet niet, denk jij wel eens na over zie jij dat in een soort commons licht ook wel eens? Of wat jullie doen? Of heb je daar nog niet over nagedacht?
Ja, zeker wel. Ja, ik denk dat het een heel goed voorbeeld is eigenlijk van een common. Omdat we eigenlijk steeds meer een community zijn. Er zijn zoveel mensen bij de Free Food Market betrokken. En ook de scheidslijn tussen klant of vrijwilliger is maar heel klein. Omdat er zijn ook heel veel klanten die ook helpen als vrijwilliger. Dus eigenlijk pakken we met z'n allen samen een probleem aan. Ja. En we vinden het ook heel belangrijk dat we niet een soort instituut zijn dat vraagt om een bewijs van inkomsten of iets dergelijks. Dat doen we allemaal niet. We werken gewoon op basis van vertrouwen. We vragen wel de reden waarom je naar de Free Food Market wil komen. Omdat we gezien de vele aanmeldingen wel willen zorgen dat het bedoeld blijft. Ook voor mensen met een kleinere portemonnee. Maar als jij aangeeft dat dat zo is, dan vertrouwen we daar ook op. Dus het is helemaal gebaseerd op vertrouwen en eigenlijk samen eten redden. En daarmee ook jezelf een beetje helpen. Dus ik denk dat het een mooi voorbeeld is van een community. En het gezamenlijk oplossen van een probleem. En ook gewoon de positieve sfeer die er is. Het sociale aspect is ook heel belangrijk. We merken dat veel mensen het gewoon fijn vinden om ook met ons te praten. En dat het echt een soort sociaal uitstapje is. Dus ik denk dat het allemaal bijdraagt.
Ja, mooi. Alina, so I'll switch back to English. Sorry?
perfectly fine.
Yeah. So most or all of the participating artists within Common In seem to kind of go beyond some kind of traditional notion of art, of like art as an object, let's say, of something that you kind of look at or consume, and then you pass by and you go on with your life. But they seem to kind of approach art more as and practice it as a kind of social practice, in a sense of inviting people in, of making it more into a process instead of an object, and all these things. How do you look at that, considering your own art practice, and maybe also within the collaboration with Helen's Free Food Market?
Right. It's always okay. So it's always a little bit difficult to define my practice as an artist exactly because it's very much based on process, because it's something which takes a really long time. It's not something that always has a presentation moment. It's more something that, like, I don't know, starts out of, let's say, a coincidence, and then it becomes a sort of observation, a sort of research into a certain topic. Such as, for example, as I mentioned, the fact that my food delivery courier job ended up being my point of reflection, to the point where I began going to conferences on the topic, talking to the CEOs of these companies, striking against the company, joining unions against the company, and so on and so forth, and trying to, like, look at one single thing from multiple angles. So this makes it quite difficult to explain to people. At the same time, I mean, it doesn't always need to be overly explained. At the same time, it's just what one does as an artist. And I guess this is the same thing that could apply in the case of me starting to work for the initiative that Helen started. In that case, it's just something that became a practice, as in something that you do, let's say, well, not necessarily weekly, but at a certain point it was that, and it will continue to be. So through what you do, it's basically that's for me, it's artistic practice. Me as an artist, yeah, that's basically how I define what I do as an artist, by practicing. I guess artists in general, and maybe especially after Corona, and since we didn't finish Corona at the moment as well, kind of reached to do something more social than usual. So not just something that has as a social moment an opening, but that's something that's, well, more connected to social initiatives, and that which is defined as social practice. And this is always something that I strive to do. I think also there are so many initiatives already which are, like Helen's initiative, basically already a practice that could be folded into the art world. Like, there are things that artists try to start which are in a way similar, like this way of giving back to the community, this way of, like, salvaging resources, this way of, like, connecting people and bringing them together. An initiative, it's something that artists always try to do.
Yeah.
But I guess in the case of me proposing Helen's initiative for Common In, it was also something that had to do with the fact that I don't think artists always have to start from scratch when they do something. You know, because there are many initiatives that are started by artists, but then because artists are so busy with so many things at the same time, it also becomes a bit like their attempt might fail. Might look nice in the first step, but it might fail along the way. So I thought a good thing to do in this case is just to highlight something which already exists and works and is inspiring. And my own position within this is just one of actually being a volunteer and a worker for Helen, rather than being like the spotlight being on me, more like the spotlight going on the initiative, because I think that's more important.
Does it
than my
have to
own
do
practice.
with? Does it have to do with? I don't know. There's like this frame, you know, of being an artist, and the and your kind of capacity, or even you're kind of forced in a way, because you're an artist, to create something, right? This verb, and this is kind of very much associated with the word art, or artists in general, I would say. And creating implies, like, growing
Making from
something from the
scratch,
ground
or
up, right?
yeah.
So I think there's a interesting tension here with this and what you're proposing artists also can do.
I think that's one element in it. That's true. And the other thing is like there's not that much value for collaborative practice. It's always like the individual artist that's being highlighted, but I think the process and the community that's being built, and in this case, I mean, what Helen's building is basically, well, more of an artwork than many things I've seen.
Yeah.
So you know, like I wanted to like point to the fact that collaborative practice is also very much important.
Mm.
And yeah, and not necessarily making something from scratch, but like really like valuing what already exists. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is also what like practically happens in Helen's initiative, because there's so much food that already exists that's going to waste. And that's being revalued in a way. It's being like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, given to people that need it, and like, yeah, and they also feel like they're doing something which helps, and they are. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah.
So do you know this initiative by this art and designer collective Akaskeland in New West? Roel Schoenmakers. You've seen him, Helen, right, at the opening, or maybe you knew him earlier as well. Roel Schoenmakers and Fiona Bell of Kaskeland, and I had an interview with him the other day, and we also talked about art and the kind of sort of more social side and social practice side of art, and he told me he gave me like some kind of definition that stuck in my head ever since. He said that art has the ability to make space for social alternatives, and that if anything that's making space for social societal alternatives, it could be considered art in a way. I don't know. Is this something that resonates with you or both of you?
Helen?
Uh, yeah, I think if like at first I didn't really see it. I will be honest with you. At first I didn't really see a relationship with art, to be honest, with my initiative. But now that I know Alina better and we talked about this, I feel like she has the ability to actually highlight the initiative in another way than I would personally see it, and like make it available to a bigger audience and show people that there are other alternatives than the current way that we how do you say that, zoals we met ons eten omgaan eigenlijk. So in that way, I think definitely art can show alternatives and also to a bigger audience. And I think for the free food market, that's an opportunity. So I hope that answers the question a little bit.
Personally, I totally agree that art is like, in a way, shines light over alternatives of like living, and like alternatives of coming together. It doesn't always, because this is also something that maybe is not that clear. It doesn't always have to, art doesn't always have to solve something, but it can. Because there's a little bit of this fear of artists of like turning into people that are like trying to solve a situation, and that's not necessarily what our aim is to begin with. But if we can be of service, if we can help, then why not? Like,
Yeah.
we don't always just have to complicate things, which we are very good at doing.
Yeah, this is also referring to the title of this joint collaboration and this project within Common In, which you called the artist as public servant, right? Yeah, which is very triggering, I would say, and it's giving is a nice reframing of what art can be. So you earlier you told me that you, as part of this collaboration, you're aiming at opening up the Helen Free Food Market a little bit more, and inviting inviting people in to a certain extent. And Helen was also talking about like this increasing visibility of the food market and making connection with more people. Is there already your ideas a little bit developed about that? How that's gonna work out, or?
Well, the proposal that I made was mainly focused actually at the people that are already part of Helen's Free Food Market. So the idea was, because the organization, I mean, from what I understood also from Helen, in a way also needs some time to reflect and some time to like prepare itself for the future and become a little bit sustainable in that sense. You know, if you have a weekly food market, you always have to be a little bit on alert, and you always have to be like, maybe that's a little bit straining. So it would be nice to have a moment for people to come together and just reflect on what the experience means. And they can do that on like a dedicated day for that, but they can also do that by, you know, gathering their reflections and opening up to a broader audience and talking to a broader audience and showing what they do in a practical way. So I proposed a little bit of a symposium, but for the people from Helen's Free Food Market, and also a public moment in which they would show what they do to an outside audience. Maybe people would get inspired. Maybe they would also would like to volunteer, or maybe they would like to make a similar initiative. Well, you know, they can ask questions. They can like get in dialogue, and yeah,
Great.
that was the main idea.
Yeah, great. And we'll see this somewhere in 2022, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
Wat zou je mooi vinden dat hier uitkomt, Helen, uit deze samenwerking? Als je...
Ja, ik zou het natuurlijk voor de Free Food Market zelf heel tof vinden als we een groter publiek bereiken, maar ook meer vrijwilligers nog aantrekken. Dat is heel praktisch gezien. Maar ik zou het ook wel heel tof vinden als meer mensen gaan nadenken over ons voedselsysteem. En dat er aan de ene kant gewoon mensen in Nederland zijn die echt honger hebben. Die bepaalde voedingsmiddelen niet kunnen veroorloven. En dat we aan de andere kant gewoon in enorme hoeveelheden nog steeds eten weggooien. Het is eigenlijk op zoveel punten een verrot systeem. Ja, je kan het zien vanuit klimaatverandering, vanuit armoedebestrijding, gewoon vanuit effectiviteit. Eigenlijk, het is op alle punten gewoon een rare wereld waar we in leven in die zin. Dus ik hoop dat meer mensen daarover na gaan denken door te zien wat wij op lokaal niveau doen eigenlijk.
Mooi, dank. Dank jullie wel allebei voor dit kort maar krachtige interview.
Graag gedaan. En jij bedankt.
Ja,
Thank you.
en we kijken allemaal super erg uit naar om meer te zien hiervan. En om misschien met elkaar een keer langs te komen. En te zien wat er gebeurt bij de Food Market. Samen met Alina.
Ja.
Oké.
Superleuk. Dankjewel.
Doei.
Doeg.